But welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the Hasbara, it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I am your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise. And this is the stream where we're going to be looking at who's on their bullshit tonight, and there certainly is no shortage of people. We're also going to be supporting the crowdfunded translation project, and I have a couple of updates on that for you. First of all, on the current translation in the Punto Final series, which is a long-form essay from 1969 by Manuel Caballese Donoso, co-founder of the Chilean leftist monthly Punto Final, called Chile, the Ballad or the Bullet, which is explicitly quoted from the speech that is generally called by the same name by Malcolm X from 1964. It is a real banger of a piece. I am $145 out of $1,200 into funding it, and all support for that is very much appreciated. I'm going to just drop a couple of links. One is for where you can read the finished translations. That's this one, and the other is where you can go to donate. Also, it occurred to me, I mentioned this on the earlier stream today, that there might be another way for people to be able to enjoy the crowdfunded translations in the Punto Final project. This is something that I'm thinking of putting together. I haven't quite decided exactly how I'm going to do it, but what it would be, and it's going to be for people like paid Patreon subscribers. I don't know if I'm going to just say $1 tier or $5 tier. I haven't quite made up my mind there. Kind of leaning towards one. But I will be recording readings of the translation, so they will be available essentially as podcast, audiobook, whatever you want to call it. So those would be going up for paid Patreon subscribers. And thanks to all of those who already are paid Patreon subscribers, and to anyone who considers doing so in the future. And that I haven't actually started, that's not there yet, but I wanted to mention that that's a thing that I've kind of got in the works. There are a couple of things I need to do in order to make that happen, but probably in the next week or so I think I might start having some of those up. So what have we got today? Let me just make sure. Okay. Just wanted to make totally sure that I'm not going to max out my SSD by recording this. And I'm not, so that's always good. So there's a lot of cope on the subject of how the disastrous criminal war of aggression against Iran is going. And also about, apparently Ben Shapiro wants us to know that he's not mad about the new Harry Potter trailer. And I'm guessing he says that he's going to explain why. I think I know why. It's probably because at this point J.K. Rowling is just a symbol of bigotry and basically everything Ben Shapiro stands for. So of course he wouldn't have any problem with it. Like the whole point of this reboot is to have a cast that has not completely condemned the horrible things she says and does to trans people. Also, let's see, we've got Asmongold talking. It says they flew to Cuba and instantly regretted it because Asmongold apparently does not quite understand that they were. Oh wow, he's surprised that there is poverty in Cuba, in a country that's under a fuel blockade. Wow. And then in the world of liberal slop, Iran backlash glows as they're feeling around in the dark, and this is not how wealthy countries are supposed to behave, which is some weird imperial etiquette bullshit that I am there for. Haven't quite decided which one to. Think we might start out with. Is that so few of these chorus slopcasters spend any time on like the war, the wars, because they're basically doing propaganda for the Democrats, and the Democrats don't really have a problem with them, except that they feel they should have more input in how the murder is done. But so this is an exception as far as I can tell.
Fox News.
Yeah.
And even the friendly guests are saying that Donald Trump's economy is barreling towards a recession. You know things...
Well, I mean, a lot of people are saying it's actually worse than that because the response to the aggression could easily trigger a worldwide depression.
Not going particularly well.
So really, one of the best things, if that's the concern, one of the absolute best things would be to immediately stop the aggression and immediately agree to whatever terms Iran is proposing.
I'm talking about billionaire investor Leon Cooperman, who went on...
Oh, I mean, it's always great when we have billionaires commenting on the economy, because they never have any conflicts of interest there.
On Fox News just hours ago, and said very plainly and very calmly and very simply, I believe we are heading towards a recession. Let's take a look at the video. You will see the reaction from MAGA host Maria Bartiromo, and then I want to have a broader conversation about this economy.
Last Friday, the Dow, there were...
And I apologize. This is not Maria Bartiromo. This is Liz Klayman.
A couple of the indices, I mean, the Russell's already in correction territory, and the NASDAQ was very close to to correction territory.
They're not supposed to say recession, apparently.
Not come down enough? Have valuations of stocks not come down enough? And do you think that...
I mean, look, the AI grift is still actually doing numbers, so clearly they haven't come down enough.
There's going to be some trigger where we see another leg down?
I'm betting on that, yes. I think that, we're heading towards the likelihood of a recession. And that's what ended the bubble of 1982. The oil price was increased tenfold by the Arabs, and that pushes into recession.
I mean, and if you've noticed, the entire way this war of aggression is being carried out, it is being done specifically in a way that anything that might possibly worry oil investors, it happens after the markets close. I mean, the level of just explicit market manipulation that's being built into this shit, just to keep the capitalists happy, because if their valuations start going down, if their portfolios start looking bad as a result of the war, then he's not going to be able to continue doing the war at a certain point.
The technology bubble of 2000 ended when we got into a recession in 2001, 2002, and so I think we're heading to a recession, and it could happen late this year or next year.
I mean, hang on. I was actually wanting to hear about, let's see. Trump's speech confuses Republican Party. I mean, is this going to be to do with Iran? Let's see.
Donald Trump gave a speech to Republican congressional members at a fundraising dinner, and this was not a good idea.
I mean, it's like never a good idea when he talks.
Changed even for Donald Trump, as Republican allies in the room were stunned into silence.
I mean, what gets me about this, when you look at this, is... Okay. I mean, literally, it is like a negative cult of personality. Just complete obsession around one guy, and avoiding any, any discussion of any issue that cannot immediately be tied back to him.
At a lot of points, because of Donald Trump's incoherence, his speaking ability...
Well, surely they're used to that. That's kind of his style.
Clearly, rapidly deteriorating, and Trump's brain accused of breaking mid-speech.
That is such a weird way to... His brain was accused of breaking. Like... I mean... Is that really... Would we say that we accuse somebody's brain of breaking? People said his brain broke mid-speech. Somebody... Or maybe just say who said his brain broke mid-speech. But, okay.
If you can believe it. Here's Trump whining about how during the State of the Union, the Democrats sat there motionless. No clapping, blah, blah, blah.
Now, which isn't even true. It was only a handful of them that carried out even that pathetic show of protest.
But the Republicans did a good job of clapping like trained seals. My words, not his.
The Congressional Medal of Honor, 100 years old, and the Democrats sat there.
It's actually not called the it's just the Medal of Honor.
Motionless, no clapping, nobody standing. Republicans, you did very well. You were going wild.
Like, okay.
For all of them. Now, at the end of the evening, they were clapping on everything I said because they were called in by people watching on television. Did you see they were passing around notes?
Like, who cares?
Why weren't they clapping for me? The Republicans knew the assignment. Trump says we are in a war or...
Yeah, I mean, and it is a reminder as well that he is obsessed with his image. He is very much obsessed with his brand identity, and he does not like it when there is... when he shows up in a place and there is a discordant note, because it doesn't really take much to destroy, like, his fucking mystique. I mean, that is such a, like, they would call this fucking mystique. He's a talking turd. But...
really be a problem for Trump's big brain is that depending on whether it's convenient, Trump says we are in a war or we're not in a war. If he wants to be the big boy war president, then it is a war. If he wants to argue that it was urgent and he didn't need nor should he have sought congressional authorization, he says, well, then it's not a war. It's a military operation. And Trump acknowledges during this weird speech to Republicans.
Which is weird, actually, because for the most part, I mean, since World War II, nobody has really given a shit about that distinction. I mean, like, okay, during Korea and Vietnam, they, like, were still a little bit serious about pretending to care about congressional war powers, and so they'd be like, no, this is a police action. But, I mean, since then, nah, it's just war, and Congress just kind of catches up when they do.
That there are people who don't like the word war. Yes, because of something called the law.
I mean, some of us just don't like war because of something called mass murder.
But they're doing it for two reasons. Number one is they want to deflect from all of the tremendous success that we're having in this military operation. I won't use the word war.
Okay, success such as?
Because they say if you use the word war, that's maybe not a good thing to do.
I mean, what gets me about this, actually, I can't take credit for this observation, I should say. Somebody else noticed it and wrote something about it earlier on in, like, my Facebook feed. But, like, this is an interesting war in that, like, people here are so closely following the other side's PR. Like, I mean, because, I mean, apart from everything else, you can actually follow what, you know, whether it's Adachi, whether it's, God, I always get this, yeah, let me go to my Telegram, I have his name there, because I get announcements of, like, the statements. Remind myself. It's Ibrahim something or other, and I can never forget the second part. Zolfarari. Zolfarari. Their, like, chief of staff spokesperson. And because, like, you can actually follow what they say tends to actually be fairly consistent with what they're actually doing. And also, they have decided, I don't know, this is like some sort of charm offensive kind of thing, where they've realized because they fucking pay attention, that most people here don't like that fucking guy either. And so they're just ripping the piss out of him regularly, like Zolfarari. Mostly, it's interesting because when he's speaking in Farsi or Arabic, it's all very earnest. But he switched over to English one time and he's like, Trump, I know you know this phrase, you're fired. A fucking The Apprentice callback. And, like, people over here, it's really quite remarkable. They're eating it up. And so, it's actually, it's quite interesting to watch. Because you look at the propaganda here, and of course people are looking for an alternative to that, because it's just, everything that's being said makes absolutely no sense. It's utterly incoherent, and nobody likes the people saying it. Hey, Badger.
Oh. It's not that it's not good. It might suggest that this war is illegal.
There is no suggestion that this war is illegal. That is the utterly ridiculous thing that Democrats are doing here. Because this war is illegal even if Congress approved it. If Congress approves it, then every Congress member who voted for that is also guilty of the crime of aggression. Which, at Nuremberg, was called the supreme international crime. They didn't actually have the concept of genocide yet. That came a couple of years later, with the Genocide Conventions. But they said it was the supreme international crime because it encompasses all of the others. So it's illegal anyway, because it is a crime of aggression. Like, calling this something other than a war does not actually change what it is. And Congress agreeing to it does not make it any less of a crime.
There's a little problem.
Like the word war.
But of course, talking about the legality of anything, especially when it comes to the legality of what the U.S. does with its military to people, is a bit much, because, like, if legalities actually mattered, if you wanted to interview ex-U.S. presidents, you'd have to do it during visiting hours in prison, because they'd all be inside if the law were actually enforced.
Because you're supposed to get approval. So I'll use the word military operation, which is really what it is. It's called a military decimation.
Yes, a decimation of a girls' school, a couple of hospitals, the fucking Red Crescent Society. Yeah, just lovely. Some neighborhoods.
But they don't like the good publicity. They don't like to see us succeed.
If they don't like to see us succeed, then they're probably lucky, because they're not seeing that.
They want to see our country fail.
I mean, I will say, at this, absolutely any decent person does, but they don't. Like, if they wanted to actually put an end to it, it turns out, of all fucking people, the utterly repulsive Nancy Mace has said she would vote for the War Powers Resolution. So it could be brought to a vote and it would be passed, and it would actually put Trump in the position of ending this criminal war of aggression, or, I mean, just openly defying Congress, which, I mean, they might criticize him for that. I'm not sure, actually, at that point what even happens, because he's not getting impeached for this.
Yeah. You know, I have not seen a single person in the United States genuinely concerned about the war in Iran because they want to see the United States fail.
Oh, wow, then you're not looking around, because the thing is, the aggressors should fail. It would be good if the U.S. was defeated. What the U.S. is trying to do is horrible. It does not bear thinking a world in which the U.S. gets away with this. I mean, that is like a fucking dystopian nightmare shit to even consider the U.S. getting away with this. So, yeah, I mean, the U.S. absolutely should fail. They should agree to whatever fucking terms Iran demands. They probably won't be enough. Get the fuck out of the Arab-Iranian region. Leave the people there alone, to their own fucking devices, and stop installing all sorts of fucking venal slave-holding family dictatorships and racist colonial regimes.
In fact, when you say, hey, I don't know that these troop deaths are a worthwhile sacrifice for this deranged and harebrained escapade in Iran, that's not because you want to see the country fail.
And I mean, yeah, it would have been good if the U.S. hadn't done this in the first place. But I mean, why are we just talking about the troop deaths, Dave? Why just the troop deaths? I mean, it's like 1,000 people in Lebanon, so over 1,000 civilians in Iran. A fifth of actually, like a third of them children. Do they rate, or is I mean, and then there's the fact that this is being used as cover to tighten the siege on Gaza, and they're starting to have starvation deaths again.
You want to see it succeed, and you don't want to see the country send people.
What do you mean by succeed? Define success here. This is a thing. I mean, I was talking about this a bit when we were looking at that fucking fascist grifter, so-called Professor Jiang, because he uses words win and lose without ever giving a specification what he means, and they are very complicated things that depend on objectives, and objectives are a moving target here. I don't, what does succeed mean? Because as far as I can tell, the goal is to subjugate Iran, to ensure that there is no challenge to the genocide in Palestine or the white supremacist colonial regime carrying it out, and that U.S. dominance of the Arab-Iranian region, where nobody wants them apart from the settlers in the colonial racist regime, it goes unchallenged. I don't see why any of those things are worthy goals. So yeah, fuck that.
For pointless deaths for a project that Donald Trump dreamed up.
No, he didn't dream this. What the fuck dreamed this up? The U.S. has been talking about this for 47 years. There was a great episode of Citations Needed podcast, Adam Johnson's thing, where they just went through the history of lying about Iran's supposed nuclear weapons program that the U.S. intelligence community has been saying for nearly 20 years they do not have. And still don't have. In fact, there's a fatwa from Khamenei, who the U.S. murdered, specifically banning the development of nuclear weapons in Iran. I mean, you can say a lot of things about this. You can say that he was the brain box who thought it was a good idea to just try to carry out an attack like this and think it was going to go easily when Iran made it clear they were not going to fuck around like that. But you cannot act like this is something that nobody had ever thought of, and then he just said, wow, get me the dartboard, J.D. Vance. Yeah, it's a great dartboard. Big, it has darts on it. It's not one of your small dartboards. He throws a fucking dart in, and it's like, Iran, where is that? Okay, we're gonna attack Iran. Like, no, that is not how any of this worked. To act like this is just his idea. In fact, again, I showed this on stream because it is important that we remember these things. A significant portion of the Democratic Party platform in 2024 was dedicated to criticizing Trump for not being more warlike towards Iran and goading him into further aggression. Like, aggression against Iran has been a bipartisan goal since 1979, literally for slightly more than my entire life. So, like, this isn't some shit that he just dreamed of. I mean, and if it was just one guy who dreamed this up, then why are the Democrats not immediately moving to shut it down and starve it of funding and ensure that it can't happen? Because it actually kind of sounds like their messaging doesn't even indicate that it's just one guy, because they're doing this thing where it's like, yeah, the war of aggression's great, killing a lot of good, like, school kids. It's helping the genocide just fine. We like all that, but we don't like that there are no clear objectives for how we're going to help the genocide.
Trump making a really weird statement about Iran's desire to make a deal. And I'm trying to read between the lines.
It's easy to read between the lines. He needs to pretend that Iran actually is wanting to negotiate with the U.S. because it is far too embarrassing to admit the truth that Iran has said they will not be negotiating with the U.S. because there's nothing to talk about. And the fact that he keeps sending fucking Witkoff over there, the man has no credibility at all as a negotiator. He's the guy you will remember a couple of years ago. It was only last year. Jesus. It just feels like decades. It just feels like fucking decades. But during the negotiations for the fake ceasefire that only the Palestinians have actually observed, Witkoff said, we will end the siege entirely and, let humanitarian aid in if you just release Idan Alexander, U.S.-Israeli dual citizen POW. Now, the resistance had already been saying they were going to offer him in exchange for nothing. So they said, fine, we'll do that. And they did that, and nothing happened. The siege continued, and Witkoff publicly joked about, holy shit, they actually bought that. So why the fuck is anyone going to take a table seriously that he's at? Because he's not somebody you send for serious negotiations. Like, there's absolutely... So he has to pretend. This is his way of trying to put a brave face on complete failure.
I think Trump is saying here that they'll be killed either way. You'll see what I mean when you listen to this clip.
Like we're doing in the Middle East with Iran. And they are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to...
Yeah, what he's...
say it.
They're afraid to say it. Wow, you can kind of tell that Trump is... that is a phrase that you do not find surprising coming out of the mouth of a man who's in the Epstein files. They want it. They're just afraid to say so.
Because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid...
Wait a second. That's interesting. So, then he's saying at this point, their people support them in resisting the U.S.?
Be killed by us. There's never been a head of a country that wanted that job less than being the head of Iran.
It is really obvious what he's trying to do. Because in this context, because this is fundamentally at this point a war of attrition, the person who is most eager to negotiate is the one who looks like they're in the weaker position. And the person who's like most eager to like declare the end of the thing is the one who clearly failed. Especially if they started it. If they like Trump did with the so-called 12-day war, where the U.S. and Israel attacked, and then 12 days later, Israel's begging to find some way out, and Trump just does that, like, fucking Hail Mary bombing that did very minor damage to the this ground several, 10, 20 meters above the Natanz reactor. And then he said, we won, it's over, and they said, okay, we're willing to have a ceasefire, and Iran says we're not agreeing to anything, but if you don't attack us, we won't, shoot back. And that was it. And the thing is that anyone paying attention knows that was the U.S. and Israel admitting that went very badly for them, especially for Israel. So he has to do this. But of course, Pakman isn't going to say that.
It sort of sounds like Trump is saying they might be killed either way. If you buy into this just totally whacked out logic from a guy who knows nothing, it sounds like Trump is kind of saying the people we're dealing with might be killed either way. Well, that's not a very good incentive to make a deal, is it? That doesn't really sound like it.
I mean, that is literally what he's saying, but I mean, where's the analysis here? That's just, all he's done is said exactly what he just said. But the reason he's saying that, even though Iran is very specifically saying they're not interested in talking with the U.S. government, not while the U.S. is continuing this aggression, what they've said, their official position is they don't want a ceasefire. They want a conclusive resolution of all issues outstanding between the U.S. and Iran. They have occasionally floated documents that might be actually a list of demands, but they've been taken down quickly. So officially, they don't really have one. They're trying to maintain... it's been like lower level accounts associated with the government that have posted things indicating potential lists of demands, but it seems like they probably weren't approved. But in any case... the actual analysis here is he's trying to make it look like they are desperate to get out of this when all signs are that they were prepared for this to go on for much longer than the U.S. is prepared for.
Beyond parody, in a Kafka-esque moment, Donald Trump says he hates mail-in ballots just days after voting by mail.
Okay, beyond parody, sure, but where's the Kafka? Did you read Kafka, David? Nobody turned into a bug. Nobody's sent off to await trial without ever being told what it's about. Which Kafka is this? I've read some Kafka. I don't remember one where it was just a guy says, I don't like thing after doing thing.
You can't make this stuff up.
I hate mail-in ballots. I've won with mail.
Okay, I'm gonna skip because I want to...
Settled 8 wars, people. 100%. But I do. We did a lot. We settled 8 wars, people sort of forget.
Name them.
We forget. It's just not true.
Winning another one, I tell you, we're winning so big. Nobody's ever seen anything like we're doing. And
you could say that. Nobody has ever actually seen the U.S. getting this thoroughly cooked. And the thing is, you don't hear much about the damage in Israel because the military censorship is extremely tight. But, this is a thing that I just kind of noticed because I get I follow, Resistance Telegram to just keep an eye on what's being said there. And, okay, in November 2024, when Israel begged for the ceasefire from Hezbollah to put an end to the support front, because at the time Hezbollah was acting as a support front for the resistance in Gaza, and it was not going well for Israel. They had attempted a ground invasion, and it had been an absolute disaster, and then they begged for a ceasefire, and the amount of damage that Israel had done in response to attacks on Israeli military facilities to Lebanese civilians was so extensive that Hezbollah decided that they were going to go along with that, although it was, as in the case of Gaza, a totally one-sided affair that Israel never stopped firing. But the point is this. They issued a final field report summing up their operations. This is Hezbollah, the Lebanese resistance, issued this final field report, and they said in the entire period of the failed attempted ground invasion, all the ground operations in 2023-2024, they had damaged and or destroyed 60 Merkava tanks. That's 60 in weeks. The most recent field report I heard from them since this has all started had them destroying or damaging 29 in one day. Now, Israel, at the end of it, after they begged for the ceasefire, said that, they were doing this because Hezbollah's capabilities were totally degraded. They had no missile capability. They couldn't do anything. They were, they were a spent force and stuff like that. And a lot of people bought that because, why would they be putting up with all the shit that Israel was doing if they weren't? Was the kind of the logic behind that from what I've seen. But very clearly they were not actually, because that is a pace of operations that is way heavier than anything that they were doing in 2023-24. And Israel is already hurting for armor. They were running out of tanks back in 2024. They had already lost more than half of them in Gaza.
The Middle East with Iran.
Okay, so now it is a war. Understand that if Trump wants a list of wars he won or ended, we are in a war in Iraq. If Trump wants to argue that it was urgent and he couldn't pause even a second to get congressional authorization, well, then it's not a war. It's merely a special military operation or whatever it is. Now,
I mean, that's very cute that he's doing that there, because the idea is he's making a Putin reference.
I know some of you are wondering, is Trump covered in baby oil?
I wasn't, and I did not want to think about that. Thank you. We're going to skip ahead.
Right now.
Because I'm more interested in what high-grade liberal slopcaster David Pakman actually has to say about this war. Because he isn't even willing to say that it would be a bad thing for the U.S. to succeed in aggression. He hasn't actually condemned the aggression at all. I mean, he said, like, the deaths of the troops were pointless. Hasn't said a thing, notice, about the deaths of, like, the Lebanese and Iranians who have been murdered as a part of this. Hasn't said shit about the Palestinians who are also being attacked as a result of all this.
Caroline Leavitt is the White House press secretary. She reappeared and instantly collapsed in an impenetrable word salad. She was asked about a letter from our friend, Congressman Jamie Raskin. And she delved into a wall of text in audio form, orally. That's A-U-R. And
I mean, also orally. I mean, she did say it, I would assume. Otherwise, it wouldn't be A-U-R. Like, in this particular case, you don't need to make that distinction, David, because both of those things are true. The reason we can hear it with our ears, orally, is because she said it with her mouth, orally.
And it made no sense. This is,
I mean, that's kind of standard, though.
Is the press secretary a professional at communicating?
I mean, I never would have gotten the impression that she was a professional at communicating before this.
And this is the answer she gives. Look at this.
As well. Does the White House have a comment on a letter that was sent from Congressman Raskin to the DOJ alleging that the DOJ recklessly released damning information in regards to President Trump's document.
Here we go.
Yes, I saw that letter from Congressman Raskin this morning, who I would add has zero credibility, and this letter was clearly a cheap political stunt. What the congressman did here, Brian, and for everyone in the room who's hopefully not reporting on this as fact, is that he took untrue and salacious claims in a memo that was produced by Jack Smith, who has been completely discredited for his
Okay, what are they, though?
lawfare and his witch.
See if you can follow the thread as the tangents come.
I mean, I'm not having trouble following it. It's so, I mean, I guess there are going to be tangents, fine. The reason I'm looking at this is because apparently she talks about Iran, and I'm interested in what Pakman has to say on the subject, if he ever comes close to just sort of an elementary decent thing, or if he sticks with the party line. Because so far it's pretty clear. She's saying everything that Raskin says is bullshit, everything Jack Smith says is bullshit, and they're not even going to acknowledge what any of those things were said. I mean, that's clear. I'm none the wiser about what was in the letter, to be clear, but I'm following her statement.
Off of tangents, come off of tangents.
Against this president, and that information was unverified. It never even made it into the indictment because it was so unverified. And what happened to that indictment anyway? It was thrown out. And Jack Smith has been proven, again, to be a prosecutor on a witch hunt against President Trump.
I mean, actually, it turned out that he was being held back. That the entire prosecution was being deliberately slow-walked so that it would not actually get anywhere.
He tried to throw him in jail ahead of the 2024 election. The Biden Department of Justice was fully on board with this lawfare campaign.
I mean, yeah, it is kind of normal for the Department of Justice to be completely on board with the prosecutions that are brought by the Department of Justice.
In fact, this story that was concocted by Congressman Raskin was so ridiculous. I understand his communications team reached out to some outlets in this room who responsibly said, we're not going to write this because this is just too much. However, of course...
I mean, I still don't know what it's about, but I'm not having trouble following what she's saying. Again, I mean, she's saying he's lying. So, I assume she's probably full of shit because she usually is, but I'm not seeing where it's hard to follow.
MS Now did write that story this morning because they continue to be left-wing propaganda for the Democrat Party.
Okay, that one was that. Okay, admittedly, that one's kind of hard to follow because, like, there is no such thing as left-wing propaganda for the Democratic Party because the left-wing propaganda doesn't like the Democrats either.
But I think Jack Smith has been proven to be a liar and a fraud, and this
is one sentence, folks. Like, I'm not literally...
I mean, no, it's actually several sentences. But she doesn't address it in any way that anyone... I mean, actually, I have to say, from a purely propagandistic standpoint, since she is head of propaganda for the White House, that's what the unofficial job title is that she's in. The person who has this role is the one in charge of lying for the president. And in that sense, she's doing better than she usually does, because anyone who is unfamiliar with this letter and the allegations made in it is none the wiser. She does not actually repeat any of them. So, I mean, you literally don't have any information other than the information that was already supplied in the question. In that sense, she's doing propaganda very effectively. This is actually, like, this is the sort of advice that damage control consultants will give. Don't repeat the allegation, even to deny it.
No, there's no periods in it. But this is one response to Jamie Raskin's letter. And she goes into 2024.
I mean, okay. I mean, she was saying that is somehow germane to what was said in the letter. David could help us out if that's not the case. Has he read the fucking letter? Okay, this is annoying. Jamie Raskin letter. Oh, well, I mean, he quotes a Jack Smith memo. Okay. So this is related to the classified documents thing. Specifically, a classified map that he may have shown to people on board his private plane in June 2022. Okay. So, I mean, honestly, of all the things to be talking about right now, let me link to in chat if you want to. I couldn't find the actual letter. I like to read the primary source documents where I can find them, but I'll drop the link to this in chat for anyone who wants to follow on with what this is supposedly about. Here we go. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like, I don't like, who gives a shit actually? So he showed some people a classified map. I don't care. I mean, I don't think it probably should have been classified. Leak it all as far as I'm concerned.
Lawfare, Joe Biden, Jack Smith, salacious claims.
I mean, he's trying to act like this is somehow incoherent, but it wasn't, actually. I followed it perfectly well. And it is consistent. Like, you do go into... Yeah, no, it isn't raining. There is a tap on. I believe dishes are possibly being washed. Dishes are being watered so that they grow, so that we grow more dishes. Like, chat, am I completely off base here? Is it just that I am used to syntactical differences, and so I have some unusual knack that allowed me to follow this? Or did you find this relatively easy to follow, despite not being actually fully aware of the underlying subject? Because I had no trouble following it. But verifying it would require actually knowing what the fuck the letter was about in the first place, and she leaves you none the wiser about that. Like, I mean, seriously, I'd be interested. Did anyone have trouble following what she was saying?
Political stunt. Capitol Hill Democrats want to get on TV. What? What is she talking about?
I mean, she was, like, I mean, you can... It's not a matter of even agreeing even a little bit to say it's obvious what she's talking about. She's saying the letter is bullshit. That doesn't mean, you know, it's very clear. She's saying, I mean, and the letter references stuff related to the Jack Smith prosecution, the DOJ prosecution against Trump over the classified documents, and so she was taking a swipe at Jack Smith and saying he was full of shit too. I mean, is it really that hard to understand? It was pretty simple. She was making sure to get a swipe in at literally everybody who was in any way implicated in that prosecution, which the letter was discussing, in the context of trying to eliminate, you know, to damage the credibility of the letter, which actually becomes more credible because Carolyn Levitt has dismissed it so completely because she has no credibility. But, I mean...
That should be studied like the Zapruder film in communications courses as to how not to communicate.
Really? I mean, I don't know. It seemed like she actually followed Crisis Communications 101 fairly well. Because there was message discipline there. Not once did she actually indicate, because there are a bunch of prosecutions that Jack Smith was involved with. So... This memo, if you don't know anything about the memo, and I hadn't heard about this, could have been about a million things, really. And she never said once, not even accidentally did she even allude to what it was actually about. She just denied it and you know, cast aspersions on all of the messengers. I mean, you will see if you watch PR Flax doing damage control, like pro-Israel propagandists do this a lot. You will see this move. Avoid if the allegation is not put to you explicitly, don't provide detail that wasn't provided in the question already. Deny everything that you can and distract by saying shit about the people who made the accusation. If you watch enough of like Mark Regev and Elon Levy and all those assholes, they do it a lot. If you watch PR people doing damage control, these are standard things. Yeah, like what's the point of this? Like, I mean, and what is the value that somebody gets out of this? Because if it is incoherent, because it did not strike me as incoherent. I mean, there were other adjectives I would have used. I'm not saying that it's something I want to hear again. I never want to hear Carolyn Levitt speak as long as I live. I was so glad that I had... When I first heard her speak, I was so glad I hadn't before, because it made those years that I spent in my life not having known that there was a Carolyn Levitt so much better. And I will never have that back. But... like, if she was saying things that were incoherent, that would work. But she wasn't. It all did actually have a certain flow to it. And so this just falls flat. No. And, like, what's the added value here? Because, I mean, this would be funny if she was incoherent. But, I mean, actually, he wouldn't be funny. It would just be inherently funny because she said something silly. But in the event, why not take a moment and tell your viewers what the stakes are, David? Like, I just did that. I didn't even think I was going to be talking about that, but I did that because I'm a person of ordinary curiosity. Probably more than ordinary curiosity. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Because I am kind of obsessive about looking things up. Which ironically leads to me forgetting to look a lot of things up because I have a long mental list of stuff to look up. But, so I had to look into it. And so far I have provided more information to you, chat, than he's provided to his entire audience about what the stakes even are in this exchange.
As if that's not enough. The question is...
God, nice fake laugh, David.
Regime change came up. And Caroline Levitt goes, listen, the regime has changed. How else can you say it?
The president yesterday said that he had achieved regime change in Iran.
I mean, which already... See, this is the thing. All these questions that are entirely about whether the U.S. is getting away with their crimes, you know, without any serious attempt to engage with whether the U.S. should be doing those things.
Because the regime has changed. In terms of...
I mean, has it not?
No. Did the regime change when the order of succession was triggered when FDR died? Did the regime change when Lincoln died? I mean, it's just the order of succession was triggered. A regime is a system of government. And all of these changes in high places are within that system of government. They're all in accordance with the Iranian constitution, which they have.
Well, the leadership...
Their entire leadership has been killed, and nobody has really seen or legitimately heard from this alleged new leader. So...
I mean, yes, they have. He has actually spoken at some length.
So, wouldn't you say there's been a change in the regime?
You know, I was kind of thinking to myself, when the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-il, died and was replaced by Kim Jong-un, Did the regime change?
I mean, okay, like, valid point, but, I mean, what about just, perhaps we could get into, would it be justified? Would it be okay that the U.S. killed all these people and launched a criminal war of aggression if the U.S. had managed to, like, put their fucking fail-son dictator, Pahlavi, in the driver's seat over there, which even Pahlavi's mom says he shouldn't do?
Would the people in North Korea say, oh yes, there was regime change when Kim Jong-un replaced Kim Jong-il?
I mean, I don't think they would. They would, however, say, I mean, just judging from what I see, I mean, there have been changes. Like, there have been a couple of major party congresses, and there have been a lot of major shakeups.
And later, Kim Jong-un will be replaced, I guess the rumor is, by his daughter or something like that. Is that regime change? Because if that's not regime change, the 86-year-old Ayatollah being replaced by his son doesn't sound like regime change to me either. But we're supposed to just shut up and go, yes, there's been regime change. Which also...
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're also supposed to just shut up and say, if there has been, that's a good thing. Which is even worse, actually.
It wasn't the goal, but it happened, and it means...
What do you mean it wasn't the goal? They also said it was the goal. I mean, at this point, it's really not clear. I mean, fundamentally, genocide is the goal. Fundamentally, I mean, the problem... my own attempt to sort of synthesize all of this stuff is that it comes down to deterrence. Israel's deterrence is completely cooked. I mean, nobody really takes the IDF seriously as a fighting force at this point. They're just a bunch of schmucks who, you know, are really are bad motherfuckers when they're dealing with, like, little kids and old people. But anyone with a gun, they shit themselves and run away. You know, so Israel's deterrence is fucking cooked. And Israel is kind of the U.S.'s local deterrent in the region. And so if Israel's cooked, then the U.S. is looking pretty bad. And so this is all an attempt to try to reestablish deterrence. And it was going so much better before the Trump actually ended up kind of forcing the U.S. to put their money where their mouth is.
We succeeded, even though...
I mean, I don't know if he's playing.
It wasn't why we went in. Guys, come on.
What do you mean it wasn't why? Okay, so why did we go in? Like, I mean, I want to hear it. Because, I mean, I'm not saying there's even... Because as far as I can tell, there isn't actually an agreed upon answer to this. So, what is it then?
Come on. A reporter asked a question about young voters who voted Trump because they were promised lower prices and no wars. And Caroline Levitt goes...
They weren't promised no wars, though. I mean, they were promised to finish the job in Gaza, for fuck's sake. Does that sound like no wars to you?
Everything Trump is doing, he's doing for young people.
In my reporting, I speak a lot to young voters, many of whom voted for President Trump for the first time in 2024, hoping to have no more wars and to have lower prices. Now, with the war taking place and with gas prices going up, curious what President Trump's message would be to those voters who kind of swung into his coalition in
fuck you, I guess?
2024, but maybe don't feel the administration's going as they had expected.
President Trump is doing this for you. He's doing this for young people, so...
Okay. I mean, that's great. Young people... that double tap they did on the girls' elementary school in Tehran, not Tehran, actually forget the name of the town it was in Western Iran. But that was for you. You all get a piece of that. I mean, you can, I don't know, use it as a down payment on a mortgage?
We are no longer threatened by a rogue terrorist regime.
What? Like... I mean, the ironic thing is, what she's saying here is actually a line that Arakchi or like any Iranian spokesperson could at this point use with greater credibility.
Middle East that seeks to kill the brave men and women who serve in our country in the Middle East, many of them young people themselves.
I mean, there would be one really great way to improve their safety immediately, which would be to just get them the fuck out of there. Nobody wants them there in the first place.
Young men and women who serve this country honorably in uniform and have been threatened, killed, and maimed by the rogue Iranian terrorist regime.
And who wouldn't have been if the U.S. hadn't fucking attacked them.
For 47 years, President Trump finally had the courage to step up and do what's right by our national security, our homeland security.
What is she talking about?
Is it that hard to understand what she's like? David, do you not understand? His entire shtick? I don't think I've ever watched one of his long form things. Because it seems like his entire shtick is that he watches stuff like this and pretends to have no idea what anything is about. It's obvious what this is about. It's obvious what the bullshit is. David, why don't you just pick apart the bullshit?
It is incoherent. This is an incoherent form of communication.
There are a lot of words I would use. So far, I have not heard anything dishonest as hell. It is glibly justifying mass slaughter of children, amongst other things. And it should obviously put her, give her a seat in the dock right alongside Matt Miller. But whenever the fucking crimes against humanity trials finally are held, let's hope that they are. But it's coherent, you can follow it, it's just a lie.
The question is, he promised no new wars and lower prices. We've got new wars and higher prices. Everything he does, he's doing it for young people.
Well, yes, but I mean, what you left out of that, we listened to the question, Dave. We listened to the question, and it was like, what do you say to these young people who are saying this isn't going the way that they thought it was going to go, having voted for it? And she says, this is for them. I mean, is that... it's not... It's bullshit. It's fucked up. Is it hard to understand, though? Like... I don't... Like, I mean, how fucking... There is a limit to how obtuse even an angle can be.
As for the temporary short-term fluctuation in gas prices, the president
temporary short-term fluctuation in gas
has
prices.
said once these combat operations are over, this administration is going to continue to unleash American energy dominance. We're continuing to...
As soon as the wars we promised wouldn't happen, and the prices that went up, which we promised wouldn't happen, as soon as the wars are over, we're going to get back to lowering the prices.
Yeah, I mean, coherent, it's bullshit, it's coherent, and the likelihood that the prices are actually going to go down even after this is over? I don't know about that. First of all, let's remember that these oil companies are making a healthy little profit off of all of this. Like, they have huge reserves. Yeah, this is just, I mean, this is just so fucking lazy. It's just him staring at bullshit and just saying, ooh, I don't understand this. You don't understand this either, chat, do you? And it's like, I don't understand how anyone could be in a room with her and that white suit would not have to go to the dry cleaners. Like, I mean, the fact that any member of this administration would dare walk around wearing white because they're not afraid of even being pelted with fucking tomatoes or something. They're not even worried about stains. I mean, that's offensive to me, actually, on a certain level. I mean, but I understand. But it's like, it's comprehensible. It's like, he does, you know, these people do occasionally say incoherent shit. But this is coherent. It's just bullshit.
But for now, they're up. What?
But of course, the thing is, I mean, the thing is that the Democrats kind of want this war too. At least they're not eager to end it. They're certainly not calling for it to just be ended immediately, which it absolutely should be. It shouldn't have been allowed to start in the first place. And the trouble is that anyone who did this, this is not something that you can say, oh, this is a matter of Trump did bad planning, he did war wrong. This was obviously going to happen. Like, even a well-planned aggression against Iran would result in this. Because the Strait of Hormuz is right the fuck there, and it's very narrow, and a substantial part of it is Iranian territorial waters. Yeah, actually, yeah, Riverine, I actually have more respect from her as a propagandist from this. I mean, as a human being, I have negative respect for her, but as a propagandist, she knows what, she's doing the moves that they would teach you at fucking crisis communication seminars.
Oh God, this is just, it is indefensible at this point. That the reason Caroline Leavitt's presentations are increasingly incoherent,
which we haven't actually seen for ourselves,
is because it is indefensible. Caroline Leavitt asked about
what is indefensible, though. I mean, I agree that the war against Iran is completely indefensible, but I mean, David doesn't seem to think it is exactly. He's at the very least, he hasn't said that it is.
Mike Johnson saying the war is wrapping up, but at the same time, the 82nd Airborne Division was just deployed to Iran. How is it wrapping up if there are new deployments in Carol?
Well, I mean, I think I can square that circle. I think the idea is that it's going to be, he's going to try to do this like the so-called 12-day war, and he's going to do some set-piece bullshit that is going to be spectacular to the completely gullible motherfuckers who don't know anything about what's going on, and it will be used to put a strong face on failure, and then the U.S. will desperately try to find some way out of it. That's what, that's what I think this is. Because, I mean, if he tries to deploy ground troops, even to take these islands, they're well within the range of just about, not only, okay, the thing about Kharg Island, which is the one they keep talking about, is that it is low ground. And mainland Iran is right there. And it's much higher ground. I mean, the altitude difference, it's like a kilometer of altitude in difference. Which means that Iran's coastal artillery, all of their coastal defenses, have complete overwatch over the entire fucking island. So, I mean, if you've heard of Gallipoli, that's what that's what taking any of these islands is. That's fucking Gallipoli.
Line goes, options. The president likes options.
And two, if I may, Speaker Johnson today described the conflict as wrapping up, but the 82nd Airborne Division, they're typically deployed at the beginning of conflicts. So does the White House consider this conflict as wrapping up, or is it changing shape?
As I said at the beginning of my remarks, we are meeting our goals of Operation Epic Fury expeditiously.
What are those goals?
The president likes to maintain options at his disposal. It's the Pentagon's job.
And two, if I may, Speaker Johnson.
All right, none of that makes sense, Caroline.
I mean, again, it's like, it's not a matter of cogency exactly. It flows. The question is it true? Like, she says the objectives are being met expeditiously. Well, the objectives have never been clearly stated. So, I mean, you can say that and it means nothing. I mean, the obvious, if you're in the room there and she says that, the follow-up question is, what objectives? What objective has been met? Because at the moment, I mean, every stated objective has been quickly disavowed. So, yeah. And I mean, saying that it's about keeping options open, I mean, just to be entirely fair, you wouldn't necessarily just in advance of sending a military unit to to do a ground invasion, of a country that is extremely well defended, you wouldn't just openly say when they're only just beginning to deploy, that's the unit that is going to be invading Iran. Because the thing is that in order for that to happen, they have to actually get into theater. And if you've already specifically said those are the units that are going to be doing it, well, I mean, they're going to be deploying 2 bases in the region in order to do it. And Iran seems to be pretty good at finding out even what fucking hotel rooms these people are hiding in. Because they're just, I mean, the US has now admitted that they're just hiding their troops in civilian hotels. So they're using local civilians and foreign travelers as human shields in the Gulf states. Like, just completely hiding amongst which is just so fucking pathetic. But it's also an admission that they have no air defenses anymore. But in any case, the point is, I can actually see legitimate reasons to be vague on that.
I'm so sorry. On the issue of the legality of the war, Caroline Levitt has asked a good question, which is there a point in this conflict where if it grows enough, Trump would say, all right, I definitely need congressional authorization now.
But that isn't even the legal issue, though. It's illegal even with it.
And Caroline Levitt says, well, we're already in major combat operations, so there is no such point. So she's basically saying, since he didn't do it to begin with, he's never going to do it.
Well, yes. Except here's the thing. I mean, and this is a thing, this is like, a lot of Democrats maintain an anti-war record by confusing people on this very issue. Because the thing is that Congress gets to vote to authorize these things multiple times a year sometimes. Because these wars can only be fought if there's funding for them. And that funding goes through Congress. And if you want to deny authorization to a war, the most effective way to do that is to just deny authorization to fund it. So, I mean, on that level, there is no need to wait for congressional authorization. There is no special point or anything like that. Appropriations bills for this war will be going through, and anyone wishing to deny authorization could just, in one way or another, kill those fucking bills and starve it of cash.
No matter whether he should or shouldn't.
2 questions for you. First, if the war in Iran continues past this current round of peace talks, and with thousands
The current round of peace talks, I love how we're just indulging with the idea that there are peace talks. Like when Trump and Witkoff, between who? Trump, Witkoff, and Hegseth go off and get shit-faced and talk about how nice it would be if Iran would return their calls? Is that that's what the peace talks are? I mean, Iran has been taking the piss out of this for days, going like, you're having these negotiations with yourselves, I think was Arakchi's line.
Way to the Middle East. Is there a point, either a number of ground troops or a number of days, at which the president will consider seeking authorization from Congress?
Well, as you know right now, that formal authorization from Congress is not necessary because we're currently in major combat operations in Iran. The Department of War and the President, as I said, estimated about a 4 to 6 week timeline for the full completion of these military combat operations.
Okay. So, and this is another thing that just shows how completely unprepared anyone is for this. Because they're talking about this as if it's going to happen in months, and Iran clearly has been preparing for this for decades. They can last months. If the idea is to make it a month, do whatever damage they can to Iranian civilians, and hope that not too much damage is being done to U.S. military bases and to the Zionist entity, then, and then what? Just kind of fuck off and hope Iran says, yeah, okay. I guess we're done then? Like, is that the plan? Because, I mean, I don't think that's the fucking mood they're in.
Which, by the way, means we have 0 to 2 weeks left in that period.
Again on day 25 today. And as a courtesy, nevertheless, the administration did notify Congress, the Gang of Eight, ahead of the launch of the operation 25 days ago. And we've also had our top national security officials go to Capitol Hill to brief.
Right. So listen, she's basically saying, we told 8 people. We told 8 people, so that's good. But if Trump did need the authorization...
Like, I mean, it is so ridiculous to be talking about... Because the people in Congress who claim to be opposed to this are doing absolutely nothing to force a vote on this, even though now they have the votes. It is, however, significant. Apparently that's a Fox News reporter there who is specifically asking these questions, which is, I mean, even the right-wing media is uncomfortable with this situation, which, of course, because... I mean, when the U.S. loses a war, it's supposed to be a war that lasts 20 years, or is so long that everybody forgets when it started, like with the war against Vietnam. But having a war that the U.S. loses in weeks, that's not great for them. I mean, like, if you would like to see U.S. empire weakened because it is one of the major threats to humanity and major impediments to any kind of a decent future, then, I mean, yippee. But it's not great for them. It's not great from their standpoint.
That ship has sailed, because now we're at war. And you're not going to go and get congressional authorization for a war that has already started, are you?
Well, I mean, and again, like, a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, I voted against the Iraq War. And they mean, like, the authorization for use of military force. But every single time there is an appropriations bill that comes up for the war against Iraq, they will have voted for it. When, in fact, if they were to vote against it, if they killed those bills, the war would have to end. See, and that's still an option, because it's always going to need more fucking money. So, if we're just, so, I mean, it doesn't even, you know, formally seeking authorization doesn't even fucking matter. If there were genuine opposition to this in Congress, the one place, it seems, in the entire United States where there is no genuine opposition to this, then you could just fucking, I mean, just kill the funding.
It's just incredible logic. It's incredible. It's backwards. Because he already failed to get the authorization he should have gotten. Now he's definitely not going to go get it. It's too late. We're at war now. Caroline Leavitt, the best.
I mean, again, one of the things that is done in order to sort of exceptionalize Trump and sort of take him out of the context of the entire history of shit that has led us to this moment. One of the things that's done to make that happen is to treat things that he's done that are actually fairly standard as novel. And this is a good example of that, because actual declarations of war went out of style a very long time ago. The White House has been finding ways around them since World War II. None of this is new. This is just how wars are done. It's just executive wars over and over and over again, and Congress funds them because Congress is, for the most part, cool with them.
Press secretary ever, or the worst? I guess it depends on your perspective.
I mean, as a from the standpoint of the skills required for the job that she does, she actually strikes me as much better at this than I thought she was originally. So I guess thank you, David Pakman, for that. I also have a lower opinion of Pakman after this, because, like, Christ, you have this huge audience who are mostly people desperate to have some sense made of this situation to figure out what the hell to do about it. And this is what you fucking do with it. With all your fucking chorus money, with all your, like, 1630 fund, $8,000 a month or whatever amount that he's getting. I mean, he is, of course, in the top tier because it's a content incubator, and apparently, liberal slopcasters have a very long gestation period indeed. And no analysis, nothing, just like pretending he doesn't understand stuff. But it's time for me to wrap up. Have a good night. Yeah, he is utterly overrated. I mean, this was just such a fucking nothing podcast. So, thank you to everyone who joined in. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Have a good night.